Well, hello, Alex. Welcome to the Born or Made podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to start off asking, so where were you born?
I was born in Westchester County, New York, Hudson Valley. Great place, very woodsy. With New York, people always assume New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Not there. But then I'm also not upstate. So we're kind of in the middle, but I love it. A lot of pride from I just loved like country New York. And yeah, ironically, it's gotten more and more trendy over the last years, which is funny because some of the places like the deli that we used to go to, in middle school now has become like a boutique, I don't know, cheese shop or something. But but hey, that's where it's happening everywhere.
Did you go kind of like K through 12 in that same area, same hometown kind of?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's
We're
cool.
Bedford Pound Ridge. I went to the public high school there, Fox Lane. Absolutely loved it for so many reasons. I think we were fortunate to have great teachers and coaches, and I loved public school. Just like you just meet. It was so diverse, so eclectic, both in economic backgrounds, like everything. So it was awesome. Yeah.
So were you big into sports, academics?
Yeah, I'll toot it. I was male athlete of the year and played hockey, lacrosse, loved it. Yeah, I loved high school. I got bullied in middle school and so I got really bullied in middle school. And then freshman fall, I didn't have a sport. I did like cross country because a buddy was like, try it out. I didn't like it. But I'll never forget, and this is one of the blessings of sports. Freshman fall, I was a lost kid, ninth grader, puny, water in the halls, just trying to get by. And then hockey season started, and I was really good at hockey because from 5 years old, my parents, bless them, took me to hockey, and I played hockey nonstop. So I went from being like a nobody, scared of getting bullied, to being a cool kid and having friends and getting invited to parties. And so I oftentimes will, when I talk to parents or young athletes, I'm like, you gotta find a positive outlet. It changes your life.
No kidding. So once you finished up high school, you were obviously very athletic. You're going off to college, or are you just going to go in the working force? What were you going to do?
Yeah, I played Division I lacrosse at UPenn. I played 4 years there. Had ups and downs, which is sometimes I'll speak about that journey of why some years were great and some years were really terrible. And but it was my dream, absolutely, to play college lacrosse, and so I did do that. And yeah, I mean, the experience of it, the growth of it, doing things when you don't want to do them and being somewhere when you don't want to be there, but still doing your best, is that getting ingrained in you is really, you use that for the rest of your life.
So I talk about that some. So I believe discipline and determination are a learned skill. I think there's some of us have advantages over others, and that's just life in every aspect of life. What do you think on you? I mean, were you able to build that residual like determination and discipline? Obviously, like you said, being where you didn't want to be and doing the best you could at that point. Let's just talk about that. So
yeah, I mean, I think you can develop that in a lot of things. And I think, of course, you can develop that skill in band or debate. And I've done both of those things. I think they're great. There's an extra dimension when you involve your physical. Because it's one thing to, not want to do whatever you're doing, practicing something. It's another thing when it's hot and you're tired and someone's hitting you with a stick. It adds another dimension to that discipline and that grit. So, I love sports for so many reasons, but I was fortunate to coach after college as well, many years. And I just think like the character quality of especially team sports being dependent upon and having to do everything we just mentioned, doing something you don't want to do, being beat up, tired, disciplined, and then having other people depend on you for that that's such a lesson for life.
yeah, people depend on your success or failure.
Yeah.
Right. So you talked about highs and lows. So let's talk about some lows in college and lacrosse. Let's talk. You get injured or?
No, thank you, God. Never really had that. I was, and I have, with a lot of humility to say this, because I'll say the other parts as well, I was and am I was very talented at lacrosse. The negative was really the mental game where I just applied too much stress and pressure and expectations to myself. And I was just too, honestly, just too hard on myself where when I fell short of basically perfect results, I would beat myself up so much. And then I would kind of relegate myself to playing very comfortably or safe and not really going for the big shots and the big things.
Because you can't lose.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a safety mechanism,
safety.
you know, to try to do that. You know, there was other elements that played in, you know, but where I could say like, well, if I'd had a college coach who might have connected with me on that level, or if I had, but at the end of the day, I think the real reason was just, you know, if I were better at navigating those moments. And gosh, the answer isn't caring less. The answer is just there's this very thin line with intensity where I'm extremely intense in everything I do. But I've learned through the years there's a line where that intensity is really great. It's really firepower and it'll get you there. But then there's this line where if you pass it and you go to like over intensity or hyper intensity, then it starts to become detrimental. It's like the car's redlining. And so you don't want that. And I think in college, I was hyper intense where I was kind of redlining. And so, I mean, you know, it's just a time game then before you kind of spin out.
So that's interesting. So, you know, the first thing I thought was, you know, mind, body, spirit, right? Because you talked about the mind, you're putting all this pressure on yourself. And athletes talk about that a lot now. And people in general, it's kind of become a hot topic because this mind we're in is a very complex little computer we got up there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so how did you get out of that? What did you do? I mean, did you just keep redlining until you got, because, you know, you can redline, you know, there's a lot of things like redline here, but then that's your new red line. If you get past that, then that's your new red line. Did you keep pushing to that, or did you just learn?
I think, you know, my kind of 4 years of college were freshman year. I came in and I was like, eye of the tiger. I beat out the seniors. There was 3 or 4 starting seniors for my position. I beat out 3 of them to start at my position. But then my freshman year, I just, you know, again, I just had so many high expectations and it was fine. It was okay. But my sophomore year was when I really kind of crumbled. And I remember after my sophomore year, it was like, you know, like June, and I went in my backyard where, like, you know, that's where I lived in high school and middle school, just practicing in the backyard. And I like grabbed my stick and I'm like, all right, there's a fork in the road here. Like this is June. We don't start our season till February, but I'm like, which path do you want to go here? Are we done with this and that path, or do we start today and we get it back? And so, yeah, I mean, I love this sport, and I also knew that I couldn't live with myself if I had given up on it. And so just started committing again and practicing and working hard. And that junior year, I led the team in goal scoring. But I still could have been better. I didn't solve the mental issue. I just outworked it. And so I was gifted enough and hardworking enough that I could still keep beating it out. But that's not a solution. And then it really wasn't until I became a high school coach, coaching athletes at a high school in Los Angeles, and I could see those athletes, 17, 18-year-olds, going through what I was going through. And it was very cathartic because I could help them go through it. And as a result, I think that was pretty healing for me to do that. Yeah.
You get a different view, right?
100%.
You weren't in the fight. You were watching these kids in the fight.
Yeah, 100%.
And all of a sudden you see yourself in these kids and you're like, hey, if we don't fix this now, it's going to be a problem.
100%. Yeah.
Really? And so I go back to that red line thing. It's one I haven't heard in a while. So your red line, and you said you kept pushing that. So did you keep pushing that red line farther, you felt like? And then so when you were under that, what used to be your red line is now kind of your high-end idol or high-end, but it wasn't red line again?
I mean, for me with lacrosse, it was just I just attached way too much pressure and intensity, and it was just not needed. Like, I remember looking around the locker room. I remember it. And there was a teammate of mine, we were about to play a game, and he was laughing and joking with someone. And I was just like, I remember like this feeling of longing and envy and just like baffling, because I was like, I could never feel like that. I could never in my bones and body feel laughing and joking before we played a game. And the reality is like every person's different, but you absolutely, like, you want to be eye of the tiger, but you absolutely want the looseness and the love of the game and the confidence and the ease, rather than so intense that you're white knuckling something.
Were you that way when you were little?
I mean, I can
look
certainly
back?
trace it down to like my childhood and upbringing. And
Yeah.
Both my parents are always do your best. They work very hard. My dad is very intense. But the thing is like, it is what it is. I've succeeded at literally everything I've done. And it's because I don't say that as like a cocky thing. I say that because I have an intensity that was given to me from my dad that like is not easy to live with. But because of that, if you channel that intensity towards a positive outlet and you're mindful with it, you can accomplish some pretty darn big things. But if you are not mindful of that intensity, it can really harm you. And I've also had that. I've been an alcoholic and had depression and had all that. So it's, it's to be careful what you wish for with it.
Yeah. Wow. So high school, you're helping kids. You get through, how long are you in there? How long are you at the high school?
Coached for 5 years. We won championship in Los Angeles, won U.S. Lacrosse Coach of the Year. Kids won All-Americans awards. And then I left that.
Okay. And so at this point, you're 28-ish, 29-ish, 27?
Yeah, I was about 26, 27. Yeah.
So where'd you go?
I was in Los Angeles, and what I really wanted to go after was TV hosting. That's why I moved to LA, was to go after entertainment. And so really took a lot of chances and leaps of faith and worked my butt off and got hired to host for some TV shows. Yeah.
No kidding. So during all this, that was where you were wanting to go.
100%. Yeah.
No kidding. All right. So you get into that.
Yep.
And what are you hosting? Sports?
Yeah, I hosted for a few different things, Discovery Channel and things like that. But the biggest opportunity, and so grateful to them, was for NBC American Ninja Warrior. So that was
really,
yeah. So that was definitely biggest opportunity. Yeah.
No kidding. So I've seen you on TV then, clearly.
On one of the things, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, probably on Ninja, because everybody's kind of at least seen that a few times.
Yeah,
for sure. Did you ever do any of the courses?
I did. I ended up competing after hosting.
No kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
So which one were you in? Which state or?
My first year was in Los Angeles. Second year was in Tacoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Tacoma, I didn't know they did one up there.
Yeah.
No kidding. Did you get all the way through?
I did not. My best year, I missed finals by about 2 people. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that for a couple of years. Was that just something, I guess, an itch you needed to scratch, or just kind of worked out that way?
I mean, I think looking back, definitely God's hand. Yeah, I mean, there's chapters within that, hosting. I was hosting for 2 years and then stopped hosting and began competing. And there's obviously longer stories with all that, but 6 years was really the 1 year I broke my hand. Each year was pretty different than the one before it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we get through that. Now, where are you going from there?
I had been doing, well in entertainment and was doing stand-up comedy. And that's kind of a dream that I just liked that, and I was like, okay, that's maybe my archetype and what I'll do. And then I had a very honest moment with myself. There's a question that I encourage that we all ask ourselves, which is, what do you really want for your moments on earth? Pretty big question.
Yeah, big, deep.
Think it's worth asking. It seems straightforward, but because it's a big question and it can be scary, we busy ourselves so that we don't ask it, or we're too scared to actually honestly answer it. So my real answer was that I felt a calling to go to speak. And so I said, okay. And I remember pulling over the car and I went to this coffee shop, and that day just was like, let's try to figure this out, and started that day. And really, and when people talk to me or ask me about, speaking now, I like if you feel called to speak, speak. Like, I think everyone has their own journey. And of course there's going to be someone who's a big Fortune 500, whatever, and does it, part-time on the weekends, or you're a doctor and you do here and there. But if this is what you feel called to do and it's in your bones and you're doing it for the right reason, then you should just want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just spoke wherever I could, volunteered, drove my own way, paid my own way, anywhere that I could. And things happen. One is you get to work on your craft and get better at it. Two is you get to actually do the thing and fulfillment and see people getting something from it and getting better. And then you get better at it. And I'm so grateful for those early years of doing it, because then it led to some opportunities that were a little bit higher stakes. And I'm really grateful that I had all the years and reps of trying it and figuring it out, so that when you have an opportunity where there's a little bit more stakes to it, you feel confident. And so, I'm so grateful. I really got into it, doing it kind of full time in 2019, and then 2020 was ready to go full time, and COVID happened. And so that was like 2 years of, that was dark. Like, honestly, that was a hard time. And, and then 2023 was really where I finally did it full time for a year. And so, don't take it for granted for 1 second, the opportunities to do it.
No kidding. So, you said you like to drink a lot?
I did. I'm 4.5 years sober. I mean, I guess at a macro level, that's but I think there's a bit of layers to that, because there's grabbing a drink with your friends to celebrate on a Friday, and then there's sad drinking because you're depressed or want to disengage with life. So there's a wide brushstroke there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Thanks, man.
I'm 2 years myself.
go.
Be 2 years in July.
Awesome.
I quit
Awesome.
drinking.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it for everybody.
Yeah.
I really do. It's shocking. People are like, really? And I'm like, yeah, you really have no idea how much better you actually feel all the time.
It is. And I think, I think it's important that people are honest with it, which is to say that it's not fun to have some drinks on a porch or out to dinner or on a boat or whatever. That's fun. So let's be honest. That's fun. However, that's usually for me, that was the minority of it. And it was just the compounding. It compounds both ways. If you're meeting people for drinks 3 or 4 times a week and you have 1 or 2 or 3 each time, to me, it wasn't worth it. And then there was, a blessing of it, I think, on the other end is you're going through now some life moments where maybe in the past I would have reached for a substance to make that life experience easier, and now you're just sitting in it and you're going to experience what you're going to experience. And then from exactly what you said, like the clarity and the health, that definitely compounds where, you're not having to bounce back. And so I think that's really a blessing of it too.
Yeah, you don't waste a half a day.
Yeah, completely.
And you get to be my age, you lose a day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because it's just harder. Your body doesn't, you'll find out in another 30 years, like even when you get hurt,
sure.
You broke your arm, you healed pretty quick. You break your arm at my age.
Yeah.
It's going to take several months.
Yeah.
Completely. It's still
yeah,
gonna
sure.
Be, it's the same kind of principle.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of goes into, you're unstoppable. You're highly driven, highly motivated. I find that most of the people that I interview that have had, a lot of them have had drinking problems, myself included, is that they are high intense people. They tend to do really good at everything. And unfortunately, drinking is one of those as well. So you kind of talk about unstoppable and discipline and things like that. So let's kind of go down that path and just tell me
Sure.
about all that and how you got it, where you got it. Just
Yeah.
morphed into.
You know, unstoppable to me is it's a view, it's a mindset, and it's a belief that we are going to go through hard things. But
Mhm.
it's a reframe of maybe those things can lead to great things, even if it's hard in the moment. And maybe those things are going to be outside of us, or maybe it's going to be inside of us. And I think that that's just, it's been the journey of my own life going through all those different things. And then the more that I've done speaking and I talk with people, it's the human life. I mean, we're always going to be going through hard things or changes or challenges. And so, making us equipped as much as we can to do that. Yeah. Rather than trying to avoid it, because it is going to happen.
Do you think what's harder, internal or external?
For challenges?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think of an example. You know, external would be there's a policy that affects how you can do business. Internal would be you just have a belief system or an issue that you're dealing with. And I'd say it's probably the internal because that is one you're going to be living with 24/7.
External, you can get away from
You can
potentially.
maybe find a workaround, or maybe there's a season
Yeah,
for
yeah.
it. Or, yeah.
If it's a bad job, you can go home.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it's in your head, it's with you no matter. You
Yeah.
take that one with you no matter where you go.
Completely.
I would think internal. You know, for me,
Mhm.
thinking about my mind and how
Yeah.
you know you get amped up on stuff, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, you just take things a little too serious.
Sure.
And that's a challenge for most of us.
Yeah.
So if you're getting in that, you know, a lot of mine is through athletics, working out. You know, I
Mhm.
tend to work a lot of things in my
Yeah.
head out because a lot of
Yeah.
times you can just beat it out of you.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
I like to think.
Yeah.
And so, what do you find that works for you? I mean, do you read? Do you meditate? Do you work out? I mean,
You know, it depends on when you would have asked me this. Over these, you know, probably last 8 years, perspective, which is ultimately rooted in faith.
mhm.
So I would say that. I mean, obviously, there's things that I can lean on that are within my control. Like, yes, I can go work out, or I can go structure something, and those definitely help. You know,
Mhm.
they talk with a friend, hang out, and joke with my wife, like that. Thank you, God. Those absolutely help. But I think a deeper awareness of what can I do and what is out of my control.
Mm. What you can do and what's out of your control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, you know, really there's, what do you have? I always tell everybody two things, right? Your attitude and your effort. Those are kind of the only two things
Totally.
you have control of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
100%, yeah.
have you always, I mean, do you read your Bible? Have you always been that way? Did you go to church as a kid or did you just kind of later in life? I mean, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, no, I was, you know, for the first absolutely, you know, 20 years of my life, I kind of thought religion was just made up kind of BS, people being people, making up rules for power and control. And I absolutely think that religion can still be that, especially when people are being people and we're all broken, faulty people. We are.
100%.
And so I absolutely think that that still is the case. However, no, I just had too many experiences in my 20s where I say like the veil got broken or like my armor got cracked and I started to get curious about what actual faith is. What is this? What is this existence? Where did it come from? Why are we here? All those questions. And actually then really in my 30s was the first time I actually cracked open a Bible. And I think this is the case for a lot of people, and I was one of them. I had a whole lot of opinions about the Bible. I had a whole lot of assumptions about the Bible, and it's this, it's made by people, and I never read a page. And the more that I actually started to just read it, not as a little kid who's being forced to, but as an adult Ivy League graduate in his 30s who's accomplished stuff in the world, and I looked at it with a very critical lens, I was blown away by the amount of profound wisdom, humility, and the things that no one would say for their own self-interest. Every part of it is die to yourself and love other people. So this is not so it's just, And that journey has been the most life transformative of my life. Truly only by God's grace getting sober, truly only by God's hand in my life, having the desire to want to meet someone who also loved God, which is how I met and was able to walk with my wife, Jessica. And it's also the more that you do the walk, the more that you also realize how broken and flawed and sinful, and I have dark parts of my own heart. And it's bittersweet because it's a reminder that you're honestly doing the walk. Because if you're honestly doing the walk and you're trying to get closer to God, you're going to be aware of the dark spots. And then it's also, man, I wish I didn't have these dark spots. I wish So for me, it's an everyday thing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a young man I was interviewing the other day, and I was talking to him. One of the things that I started doing, so I've been on this journey. I've read the Bible front cover to cover twice. Been in church since I was a child. Been serious and not serious. A couple of years ago, I really pulled the veil back, because I thought that was a great analogy, and really started reading the Bible. So I was always very frustrated about the Bible, because I was always enamored by the guy that's like, oh, well, if you go to, Ephesians 6, chapter 10, now I know, is like the full armor of God, or things like that. These guys could just and I was always like, God, but I felt so like I wasn't adequate, right?
Yep.
And so I started praying a lot about just let me read the words.
Yep.
And let me know what they say when I need to know.
That's good.
And I started doing that.
That's good.
And in the last 6 months, I've been in opportunities where all of a sudden I'm like, hey, well, have you ever thought about this? Or someone would talk about this. And I started, all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not able to quote the scripture, but I can say, hey, go into Ephesians and
so good.
Hey, you ought to check out chapter 6.
So good.
It's verse 10. I can't tell you, but it's about putting on the full armor of God.
Yeah. So
Romans 8:11, talking about the same Holy Spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead is in you.
Yeah.
I read that one a few months ago, and all of a sudden, since then, I feel like I'm Superman. Because all of a sudden I'm like, this, so stuff like that. So anyway, I started doing this thing about a year ago, though, was every morning I get up, I put both feet on the ground, and I pray.
So good, man.
First thing before I get out of bed. Now, it's not a 5-minute prayer. It's about a 30-second prayer.
Yeah.
But I start building this foundation, is what I call it.
So good.
And encourage everybody to try that, because in a matter of fact, the young man I did yesterday, he texted me this morning, he goes, I did it this morning. Because he was like, that's such a great idea. And it's like just something simple.
So good.
It's just you don't have to get up there and man, it's made all the difference in the world. Because I just kind of cracked the book that morning. It's like, okay, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Use me.
So
right?
good. So good.
And at least I started that way. I'm not saying I get it right most days, but at least I'm trying to continue to do that.
And I think about, and that's such a great way to put it too, is what even is right. And of course there is, Jesus instructs on how to pray. I also think about I'm going to the heart of God and the character of God. And if you're, God willing, a little daughter or a little son made you a picture and really tried and gave it to you, is there a right or a wrong? Or are you just so touched by that gesture?
Touched.
And I do believe that's the character of God and the heart of God, is that he loves us that much that, and I always remind myself, and this is it all comes down to the heart. It does. And it is, I've tried to increase my own knowledge of recalling verses and cause I think it's great. And I think it's biblical and it empowers us. And so it's great. Ultimately I feel it is, what are we doing? It's like those moments, it's behavior and it's in our heart. And it's those, are we forgiving people when we want to keep a grudge? You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like that's the measure of our faith walk. Are we loving people and trying to help them versus being greedy and our own self-ambition, and it's like those moments, those are very telling for me of where I'm at in my own walk, Yeah.
Yeah, just being nice to the person that gets the door for you, the clerk that's, I think about when I go up checking into all these hotels and, you can tell that person's maybe not having a good, but give them a smile.
Yeah.
You tell them, hey, how you doing? They're like, good. You
Yeah.
kind of help bring them up.
Yeah,
That's a
completely.
servant's heart. People think about,
Completely.
you got to be doing this or feeding the poor. Actually, you're feeding them in a
Yeah.
different way.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
So
Yeah.
do you talk about that when you're on stage, or you just try to live it through your actions more, or how do you?
Yeah, so
Because people know.
Yeah, it's something that I've thought so much about, and I am not being invited in to share the gospel. I'm not.
Correct. That's right.
I'm being invited in a professional capacity to speak on leadership or peak performance or team. And I'm so fired up to do it. That's my life work. Like, I'm ready to go. And I truly feel God has positioned me in a place to serve and help people in this way. If someone were to look at, okay, Alex, what's helping you be at your best and what's helping you do this? Just like how someone would be like, oh, well, I make sure that I do my magnesium supplement or whatever it is. Well, it's like, well, okay, mine's not that, mine's faith, And so like I got to wake up at 4 a.m. and mine's not that, mine's faith. So if people are curious about where everything good in my life has ever come from, I'm happy to talk about that, or shoot me an email, or I hope that if you looked at any of how I'm living my life or social media, that reflects the glory of God. I truly hope that. But I think that it would be inappropriate it's just not the correct medium. And God
Right.
doesn't
I
have
didn't know
me.
if you were.
Yeah, God, if I feel like, and I am going to be serving with my church and leading a men's group or things like that. Like, that's the capacity. But I've prayed on this and thought about it a lot. And God has me, I feel what am I trying to do? I'm trying to give people hope. And some of the best messages that I get back are like, you've given me hope today, or people will say that after. And that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to help people have hope, have love for themselves, love for other people, love for their work, to honor their work and do their best. And that is all, if you trace it back, that's all biblical.
Absolutely.
But I'm trying to have them do it at the finance company they're doing or their hospital they're doing. And so it's all really what we're talking about is we're talking about good, right? And that's what I'm trying to empower people with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess where I was going was, so you're mainly doing like corporations then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel so grateful for that. And again, I think it would be inappropriate of the situation to force anything. But yeah, I mean, when you distill down, so last year I spoke at 95 organizations, and whether it's healthcare or finance or sales or whatever it is, if you distill down what we're all going through down to a bottleneck or a point, we are going through a change or a challenge, and I don't know if we can do it. And so that is my goal, is to meet people in that moment and to ignite them and give them tools so that they now believe we can do it and are committed to doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, have you written any books?
I have.
Okay.
Wrote one called Fail Proof, Become the Unstoppable You, and looks like in the next year, getting ready for round 2, that's a bite off, but I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've written 2 books, and I actually enjoyed it. I never thought I would. And actually am working on the third, struggling with the third one. That one's been a little bit harder.
Sure.
Because the first one was actually pretty easy, not saying that arrogantly. It just, I didn't have anything I'd written down, so I had plenty to write about.
Yeah.
The second one was a little bit easier. Now, suddenly, well, I've already written about that.
Yep.
So
I get
now
that.
it's kind of like the next one. It's a little more challenging.
100%.
No kidding. So you've been married. How long have you been married?
We have been married it'll be 2 years, September 1st.
Okay, so you're early.
Yeah, we're creeping up on there. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. So how long ago did you move to Austin?
I moved fall 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of right at the kind of semi end of COVID-ish, we were kind of getting closer to the end.
Yeah.
And you came here because your wife was from here, did you say? Or
No, I just moved to Austin. I was curious about it. I had friends friends here, like just a handful. And I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. I felt like my chapter in LA was done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what? Let's give it. I did a year in Colorado living in the mountains, and that was awesome. But I was like, I can't be a mountain man right now. Like I gotta go, be a part of society again. So I was like, all right, let's try Austin. I moved for 6 months. And then I was like, I'm still curious. And so, ended up, now it's been 4 years. I met my wife in January 1st, 2024, actually outside right over there. We're at Squatch Gym here. Squatch.
Right here, literally that one right there. Yeah, I know
We're
exactly.
at the podcast studio here. So I got to shout out Noah and CJ and the crew here. But they have a great first of the month kind of workout, barbecue, co-ed, and January 1st was obviously a bigger one. So I went with my buddy Dan, and I met Jessica, and we met January 1st, got married September 1st. Yeah.
So you actually did it quick. Boy, you're like unusual in this time and age, because most people like give you, save the date and wait 2 years.
Man, and I'll tell you that's because it was the first time for both of us, me and Jessica, we said, let's do it God's way. And I get it, because, we didn't live together. We didn't, romance, intimacy. We didn't. And you're either in or you're out. It's great. You're like, is this the person? We don't have any of this. We don't have any of this other stuff distracting us. I'm like, is this the person, the heart, the soul, the mind that I want to be with? And and so I was ready very quickly.
yeah, I'm sure.
And then I proposed to her in 6 months, and they got married in 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's funny, because Cheryl and I were the same way. We were I think I met her October 22nd, 1983, and we got married August 11th, 84.
Awesome.
Same thing. Super quick.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, it was
And y'all are still together?
Oh yeah, 42
That's
years.
beautiful, man.
42 years, 3 kids.
Wow.
9 grandkids.
My goodness, that's cool.
Yeah, it's actually yeah. You throw kids in the equation, it gets a little harder.
Of course.
It's a little more
That's what
challenging.
we hear.
Yeah. But if you can, you got to survive to the other side, and then it actually, you think it's great when you get married, you have kids, it's hard. Then when they're gone, it's actually better.
Wow.
That's what I tell everybody. Like it's 10 times better.
Wow.
Because she's not going to do anything that surprises you. And when I say, like, my wife loves to leave, like she'll take her medicine or whatever. She has a lot of allergies living in Virginia. She leaves the little packets always on the counter. And people are like, does that drive you crazy? I'm like, no, I mean, she's still here. And that's what and I literally will see it, and I'm like, she's still here. So I look at that as a positive.
That's good, man.
And, I look at it, things like that. And you don't dwell on people's negatives. You just learn to seek the positives. You've got negatives. She's got negatives.
Yep. That's
good. Not to give, marriage lessons here.
Hey, no, I love it.
But it's all part of it. And it's a long journey. And it's well worth it if you can get through to the other side, because you will have your moments.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, got anything new and exciting you're working on other than a book or going forward?
Well, very grateful. Thank you, God. Jessica is pregnant. So,
so when do you do?
October.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. So she's obviously doing the heavy lifting, but so that's, we're just trying to enjoy that journey. And then I'm just trying to honor the work that I have, the speaking and maybe getting ready for a book, but
having a kid. So I interviewed this guy, Pat, in Stanford, and he's the big kettlebell guy. And so he is incredible athlete. And he did a deal. You ought to try this.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, she's an athlete too. They shrink wrapped a watermelon onto him, and he had to do a complete workout. This guy is an incredible
That's
athlete.
awesome.
And it was comical.
That's
and
so
it just
funny.
So for you, both being great athletes, whatever, you try that. But it was so cool, because you're like, okay, this is a lot harder than I thought. He was like doing these kettlebells, and all of a sudden he's like, man, my hips are hurting, and she's like, see, I told you, and stuff like that. So it was, yeah.
I love watermelon too, so
yeah. At least you get to eat it afterwards. He didn't break it, but it's a great video, because he's just shrink wrapped.
That's so
thing
funny.
on it, so.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Congratulations.
Thanks,
well,
man.
Tell us how we can get a hold of you and lock in on you.
Yeah, so my name's Alex Weber, 1B in Weber, and at I'm Alex Weber on all the platforms, Instagram, all that. And yeah, I always love hearing from people, especially if this resonated or yeah, so I love that.
Well, we've listened to you. You're still early. You
Yeah.
don't even have a kid yet. So, but do you think you were born or you think you were made?
Oh man. You know, I know we've touched on it a bunch in this podcast, but I think that, I mean, I got to go combo platter, but born in the sense of God knows every hair on our head. So and you know, if you had asked me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have said made, because I work real hard and I'm very intense. And I do think I'm still using my free will, you know, imperfectly, but I think I'm really doing it. But I just truly believe it's all a gift from God. And so any of my determination has probably come from a challenge that he's given me in order to create that determination to do it. I'm funny because in middle school I got bullied, and so I became funny. So it's all, I think, a gift of his hand in it throughout. So yeah.
That's a great answer. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate
Well,
it.
Alex, thanks for being on the Born or Made podcast, and
Thank you.
congratulations on that new baby.
Thank you, brother.
See ya.